probably going to be it. But Gen.G, they managed to win the LCK final, and I think as the LCK champions at the moment of spring, they deserve a little bit of credit for that one. But let's see
have
whether
blue side too.
They do also have blue side in this part of the round robin, so that will certainly help out.
That definitely helps.
I should have said that was my reasoning. That would have been better.
Well, we will see the Aphelios banned here, actually, on blue side. And T1, in fact, they're the ones on red side here to take the Vi away, as Cassante is removed immediately. So, a very different look for what we normally see in these drafts. Almost flipped, in fact, in terms of what the priority is going to be. So, we'll have to take a look at see if T1 is going to ban away that Yuumi. So, maybe Maokai first.
I think T1 is just pretending that they're on the blue side. Because we've seen these be the most common blue side bans so far this week. And Gen.G not following the red side script whatsoever. We'll see what they are going to ban away here. Is
okay,
Milio
fishing
first
for
pick.
Milio first pick for sure with this Blitzcrank ban. And you can ban that now as T1, but it does give over the Yuumi. You can then split the Zeri into a really uncomfortable position. So for T1 here, might want to trade something away. The question is, what would that be in this draft? We've seen Ahri bans come in this position. So another champion that's very annoying to deal with. Will be the Yuumi they take. So now, first pick Milio feels like a pretty obvious choice here. But you don't have to play it into the Zeri. And it means that Guma might be playing something like a Draven. Lucian is available as well. So you have to keep those things in mind. It isn't just a free first pick Milio here. Yeah. There are consequences. There are countermeasures here for T1.
It's true. I think
Nico's also up.
Yeah,
first Nico in the tournament? All right.
It was played in Challenger, and that was a whole lot of fun. We didn't see it immediately after that, as the Draven's going to come out. And Gumayusi has been playing a heck of a lot of Trinity Force Draven. And as we know, Gumayusi pretty good at that champion. Hasn't been doing a heck of a lot of losing. And Milio for Keria, this is where we learn what this champion is truly capable of. I think if there's anyone that just picks up a champion is super good at it, it is probably Keria.
No, I think that one of the best options here for Pays is actually Jinx, even though it's really fallen out of the meta because of the range you have versus Draven. Now, the alternative is to fight fire with fire here because Nico is so good at engage and setup. You're always going to have prio here, so we don't know what the jungle pick is going to be for Gen.G just yet, and Nico is technically a flex, but very unlikely. But you can play your own tempo game against this Draven, but you are really fighting fire with fire. The reason I was leaning towards Jinx is what her range advantage is going to give you in setup for team fights, and the picks that Nico can almost guarantee you to get the resets and get excited. Well, we won't be seeing that from Pays in this first game. See what T1 are going to go with here. Got to get that Annie now if you're going to lock it in.
Man, this is... Both sides of this are extraordinarily powerful. I think at the moment, with the fact that Draven can really go to town on Lucian in the early game, I'm kind of leaning T1's way as far as the priority is concerned, but we'll just have to see how the rest of this draft is going to shake out. Already, this is cool. The fact that we have Nico for the first time in this series, and it's being piloted by Chovy most likely, man, that's exciting.
So getting rid of some of the safer long-range engages, I think, is a good game plan here for T1. The Gragas, in particular, one that can set up very well with Nico and Nami. You already have to deal with these things. Yeah, the Milio W, the Campfire, is going to help Draven's range, trying to do actual damage in team fights, but you really need to be ahead as Draven before we can even really have that conversation. He isn't going to do that well with Annie's engages either because of his short range. If we go to a team fight scenario where they're on even footing with Gen.G, you also have to deal with Nico's engage. So Sejuani, another long-range engage, right, with that ultimate there. They're playing around the fact that Draven needs to have some sort of ability to close the gap and follow up on that Annie engage without having any threats of counter-engage coming through from Gen.G, or Gen.G just setting the tempo of those fights. I really do like these two bans coming through for T1 right now. Gen.G, on the other hand, taking away the Wukong here. Great follow-up for Annie. And Sion, which is one of those champs you see all the time on red side to get the Draven ahead, specifically not for front-to-back team fighting, but just making sure that Draven can't have any level 1 shenanigans where he gets ahead on CS and pushes the Lucian out of lane.
Well, Oner, considering what he wants to pick up here, of course, saving counter pick for Zeus makes a heck of a lot of sense, although the Jax priority has been extraordinarily high, and they're going to follow through with that one. So they will lock it in for Zeus. Now Doran can choose what he would like towards that top side, and we'll see what Oner is going to take into this Kha'Zix that's picked up as the Gnar picked into the Jax. And We've seen this go a few different ways. I'm not a huge fan of it.
The Gnar can be very tricky into the Jax, and it's one that if you have good gank assist for the Jax, it can be very terrifying to play as Gnar. The hop cooldown one we're going to have to keep an eye on here. Viego, a pretty easy shout for what Annie does with the pick, but into Nico, I think you're going to have very little agency.
All right.
All right. Well,
the Jungle Jax.
Jungle Jax.
Or the Jungle Malphite.
I think it's definitely going to be Jungle Jax. But, I mean, we've been wrong today once already, so we'll see what happens here. As
what is it with our junglers and taking random stuff into the jungle?
So the Jax into Kha'Zix is really interesting.
Oh no, the amount of blank references we're going to get after this one. Oh dear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you could do as Jax, if you get ahead, is just follow the Kha'Zix around. It's very annoying to deal with because your Counter-Strike basically just negates Kha'Zix's existence and can force him to jump away. You have a lot of power there. The Malphite gives you great engage into the low-range composition that we see here from Gen G, or the Lucian is always going to be potentially under that threat. You have follow-up with Annie. And I think it's a draft adaptation we're seeing there here that's a nice curveball, one that you can't really see coming, much like the Scion jungle we saw from D+ earlier today.
Yeah.
And I do think that this Nico Prio in mid, you know, we'll see if she goes for Comet, how much Prio she's going to be able to get, and what that means for the draft, and if they could try to stop the Draven early. I think that's really going to be quite the anchor point here for Gen G, because without the Nico getting high value early, I think there are just too many threats here. As Nico, if it looks like, okay, well, Annie gets Prio against anybody, right? Well, Nico, her wave clear is insane, her poke is insane, her all-in potential, especially with the Kha'Zix, is insane, so needs to be respected here by Faker.
It certainly is, and it was about, what, how many days ago was it? It was 6 days ago that you and I casted a Nico just solo. I think it might have even been an Annie. Just solo killed her, just straight up. It was real scary. She is a dangerous champion. Let's jump into the rift, see what she can do. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we are definitely on the T1 side of LoL Park, but I think that I can hazard a guess and say that they won the fan chant battle. That's pretty nutty. Okay, well, Faker is going to take a little bit of damage here as the Blooming Burst flies forward. And Delight going to ebb and flow. Similar vibes on those two abilities.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. A lot of synergy here built up.
He also
early.
was fake Nami as well, so he made it look like Nami was shooting it.
Hey, there we go.
So he's putting it out thematically. And there's going to be a Comet here for Chovy as expected to try to get some additional poke down in this lane.
Yep. I think it was Faker that was experimenting with First Strike Nico in solo queue a little bit, but the majority have just been taking the Comet for the extra damage, which is often pretty easy to lock down.
I love this adaptation from Faker too, to go boots first. So you have boots and refillable here, so you can stave off some of that pressure with the refillable pots, because it's the range on this ability and its ability to hit is like, you're just not going to be able to dodge it or you're going to lose minions. Like, Chovy will be able to chunk him down, but now we can rush Merc Treads out and kind of stop some of that pressure early. And you're not going to get much value out of Doran's Ring early on in this lane either. So I actually really like this from Faker, something we didn't see in Challengers.
Making sure that you can avoid Blooming Burst hitting twice as well is actually kind of huge, so I really like that. You can't get snared though, because if you get snared, then you're just going to take the damage anyway. We'll see how it does go. Still very early days as we check out this bottom lane. And this is, I think, where the pain is really going to start for Gen G. Because not only is this one of Gumayusi's just historically best champions, but now it's paired with the Cozy Campfire, which alleviates the range issues. And Lucian doesn't have that much power in the early stage of the game anyway. And you were never even really outranged. And as you can see, there's the Campfire. Now the level 2 has been hit.
It's been a while. It's been since 2020. We've seen the Jax jungle. Very popular in solo queue, though, even at the top level. It's something that players do play a lot.
Yep.
See it in solo queue all the time because it allows you to do a cool flex in your solo queue draft as well. And it's also been a long time since we've seen this. Faker was the last to play it.
Was back in 2020. And I remember actually talking about Faker's Nico. He was always really, really good at using Shape Splitter in smart ways. That is, I think, like, well, using your passive, not necessarily just the Shape Splitter vibe, but being able to use it to confuse people. He was always very good. We'll have to see how Chovy is going to be at that in this game as well. give the idea of different champions coming around.
Yeah. So right now, that mid prio I was talking about allows Chovy to roam here down and contest this scuttle, as well as be a bit obnoxious here and threaten Keria potentially. Peanut's also pathing over here, so the amount of power that Guma's going to get with this push is waning a little bit potentially here. If he wants to stick around, he may be threatened. Faker actually going to take an early back here as well. Well, it looked like he was going to. It is interrupted, I saw on the minimap. And, you know, as a result of the back off here from Peanut and Nico just kind of staying here to stop Faker's back because he's out of mana, now the tables have turned. In fact, Oner is coming down, and this pressure is on with the Jack. So Gen G here hanging off a precipice a little bit right now in terms of the real pressure that FaZe is under. Has been doing a great job of CSing under turret, only finding himself down about a wave.
Yep. But it is still pretty early, so down a wave is not exactly the greatest of news, as Faker with his stun prepped. Just going to be chilling here in this mid lane, should be absolutely fine. Blooming Burst landing over and over again. Chovy looking pretty practiced on this one. Doesn't get that snare though, so Cast a Curse, I guess, coming out as instantly as you can. 3 points in that queue though, it is starting to do a fair bit of damage.
Faker, you know, didn't back. He stayed to level 4, gets his cookie. The damage is real. I mean, this is just why Nico gets so much prio. Her abilities do so much damage even early on, just sitting on that Doran's Ring starter. And Faker wanted to stay longer, ate another cookie, but eating that damage now, and it's going to be a teleport burned. We'll actually go for the Ionian boots, which Annie normally wants to get, but I thought with the boots rush, maybe he wanted to do some unusual tech. And yeah, this damage is stacking up, and because Peanut's already cleared this part of the jungle, help is not coming anytime soon.
Yeah, that was the unusual tech from Delight, which is take axes to the head over and over again. We're probably not going to go back to that one particularly, as Gumayusi Keria just continuing to push in over and over again, and the Jack's lurking on the bottom side makes a lot of sense. Zeus is being left out to the Wolves just a little bit, but you can see the Doran hasn't really put on the pressure that much. Oner going to utilize the fact that they do have such control of the bottom lane that he can take this Drake without too much of a contest. Okay, that's an unstoppable force. He's dead. All right. Okay, Zeus.
Gotta flash those if you see the level 6 hit, and he's a little bit slow on it.
Yeah, you also gotta smite those, because they're dragons. But Peanut is just gonna wait for the leap cooldown before he tries to get out of this one. Does eventually flash, as Chovy turns into him. Oh, just to confuse everyone.
I don't think they're really fooled, but yeah.
I think they were actually watching him because I think he was on that control ward the entire time.
The cool thing about this too is Chovy was hitting level 6, so if he makes it look like Kha'Zix is going back in for an all-in engage and pop blossoms, then maybe they end up getting a kill there and taking away those stacks. But Guma was getting out. You know, they're like, okay, well, cutting our losses here. We're not going to force anything further. Peanut now flashless.
Well, the bear came down, but Chovy didn't get stunned. I don't know whether he was in range. I think it was like barely out of range or something like that, or he just didn't have stun prepped. I'm not sure, but Chovy is absolutely fine. Hitbox question mark? Not entirely sure. But let's have a look at this this rock getting level 6.
Off of this minion, off this range minion. And he's on top of him already. Hits that, level 6, locks it in, ults, and I mean, you have some reaction time there if you're Doran, but he just doesn't react quickly enough.
And he decided to go for hop instead of flashing, and that'll do it. Speaking of doing it, FaZe is in a heck of a lot of trouble. He does cleanse, there's the flash, and oh my goodness, that's why you drink your potions as Peanut. He's making his way around. Doesn't have the movement speed though. Even with Nami's help, I don't think he was going to be able to catch up to Gumayusi, who is going to need a warm hug or two, but he'll be A-OK. 179 on those stacks. Would actually really love to cash some of those in for that early one, but we'll see how it does go.
Nami's sustain here allows FaZe to actually stick around, and they have small minion
How
advantage.
many Kha'Zixes are there?
Yeah, there's a lot. But ultimately not going to lead to a heavy commitment. I say that. They're going to come back in.
Yeah, and he goes. Gumayusi's well and truly dead. That is going to be the second kill of the game there. This time going to Gen G. Keria. Not exactly happy by the campfire right now. Nicely played there by Gen G.
Yeah, just really sticking around a long time there and baiting that re-engage. Now Keria forced to catch this wave here. Now a massive deficit, in fact, CS-wise here. All of Guma's stacks deleted after that death, and this is really going to hurt the spike that T1 was looking for in the early mid-game here with the Draven. Not to mention, their ability to hold on to this Rift Herald is somewhat in question here now. Zeus does have his ultimate back online, does have Flash. And it looks like Chovy doesn't quite have the prio to come over here for the contest. So it looks like we'll actually get away with this.
Yeah, they know exactly what's going on. Peanut is going to take his blue buff before he heads on over. Zeus, with the inside track and also with the added power, is going to come in. Oh, is he going to heist it again? No, he's not. Not quite able to get over there. And the W not really going to do too much. So
there was an opportunity, you know, with his ultimate there. He does use it, but he's not able to close the gap fast enough. I mean, that was pretty sneaky from Peanut. A lot closer than it looked there with the ult available, but doesn't have flash.
And Oner able to do enough damage quickly enough to make sure that the calculation was off as well. As Pei's down here by himself for the moment. Nami still moving her way back in as the ball going to be avoided. But Pei's not able to save his control ward. So as the dust settles, we've got T1 that are down by a couple hundred gold, but it's not really going to matter. This time the stun's going to land onto Chovy, who does turn into multiple versions of himself. And Faker, yeah, I'm not sure whether I really wanted to take that one. Just one more auto would have been enough. But Chovy not going to be diving the turret because Faker had the stun prepped once again. That could have just been instant death. Really nicely played here, and we can see the power of this Nico. There's a reason why she's being banned all the time.
So this is a bit of a wonky re-engage here. Keria going for the speed up, and then it's just instantly deleted. They have no vision whatsoever. Look at the river as well. Control ward in the tri-brush, ward in the river brush, and I mean, Gen.G, yeah, how you like it? Gen.G 100% know that they can leave Peanut in the brush there because no one's coming down, and if they step up, he's gonna burst him down. He's got his Umbroglaive ready now too, so a little bit more oppressive vision control is going to be on the way.
Well, Doran using his ult on the minion wave there actually frightened me, given the fact that he was solo killed not moments ago. Still, he's ahead by a bunch of farm, and we'll look for the back timing here. We'll be able to do so, and shouldn't miss out on too much as he finishes off those Mercury treads. Got a phage there also.
Oner on a control ward here, and looking to try to come over and catch these returning laners. Pei's
oh dear,
potentially in trouble.
Yeah, actually dashing forward. Stand aside going to work out there as well. As now Tidal Wave's going to come down. Oner in position. That was Delight in a bunch of trouble. They back away immediately, and Peanut, he's going to be flashing because there's a rock. It's going to land. A disc is going to come through as well to take out the rest of them. There is the kill onto the Jackson. This turret's getting real mad as Doran looking for an opportunity. Chovy's coming down as well. Pop Blossom comes in, but he's going to have to leave. Oh, nice snare to stop Faker from coming around as Doran not going to be hopping over that wall. And in the end, it is a win for T1.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of an overcommitment here. I think Doran committing to coming down here very late, as well as Chovy coming over to look for the ult. At that point, the play was definitely missed, but still trying to trade something back. We'll catch those waves, but T1 here getting a lot out of this. Keria?
Yeah, Keria does manage to land.
Flash.
There's the flash, exactly right. Last auto going to come in, and maybe, just maybe, Doran is going to die for this one. As the Nah is going to come through. Actually, lands on Oner, bubble over the wall, and they pick up the kill. Oh man, Doran from dying 1v1 in the top lane to making that play happen.
All right, top lane doesn't exist anymore. We're just hanging out here in the jungle, just committing hard, flashing for supports, and following up with an R there. And then Peanut gets in, and that's going to be Gen.G after the steal earlier on, getting their second Drake of the game here, sub 12 minutes. Looks like it is going to be Cloud Soul as well for both of these compositions.
Baby.
Pretty massive. Now, this was a really clutch play here. Teleport unseen here, you know, until I think a little bit too late. It's like, okay, well, Peanut's like, I'm going in. Oh, wait, I'm flashing. I need to get out of here. As, yeah, he teleported right on top of that minion. They knew it was coming, but the reaction a little bit slow here, but a great play from Zeus. And it's multiple kills going over. The cash-in not as big as it could have been with that earlier death, but still, it's exactly what you want with Draven to be picking up this early lead.
Yep.
Keria gets caught backing here. And caught by the boomerang. Doran commits the flash. Nice Q here to try to buy time. But without flash, there's not much he could do. Faker flashing for the follow-up, but Gnar gets hit.
Yeah, and then Doran being able to find just the edge of the ulti, and then Delight being in perfect position. Of course, the follow-up from Gen.G, very, very good to save their top laner. And now, kind of a battle at the tops, because Zeus is 3-0 on this Malphite. He is a very big rock. Yeah. Canonically, of course, he is the size of a mountain. So it does make some sense, but I think Doran being able to grab A couple of kills in this game is very important for getting him back on track because he was certainly struggling in that matchup.
Now,
that's a couple of people hit by a bear. You don't want that to happen, as FaZe may get the 50 gold, but isn't actually able to do so. Oh, does Tibbers does die. I don't know whether I saw them.
I think he did get it.
But I think he did.
Yeah, and he does not, however, get the plate there on the turret. So Faker is successful in stopping that from going down, but still ultimate on cooldown here. The next Rift Herald does spawn in 45 seconds, so could be quite critical. I mean, looking at the setup here for the builds as well across the board, nothing really coming out surprising. We are going to see dash cannons for both mid laners. The Triforce you talked about for Guma that he's been playing a lot, he's finished that now just moments ago. Built the Dirk for the early damage, but now has that full build, so tons of damage, whereas what you're going to get with the Storm Razor here for FaZe, a little bit less lethal, but definitely gives you a little bit of extra mobility and follow-up for things like that long-range Nico engage. And this game is very even. I mean, we're looking at a 600 gold lead here for Gen G, but when you consider how strong Zeus is right now and how like legit and simple the engages are here for T1, they have a lot of great ways to push this game back into their favor, and we might just have a straight-up 5v5 fight for this Herald now. Doran does have teleport and is the only one who's not in the vicinity.
But he built first item Hullbreaker, so I don't think he's going to teleport. I just wouldn't do it if I was him. He's got those powered-up minions in the bottom lane that he wants to push towards that turret.
And T1 a little bit slow to try to force this, and they don't respond to Doran very quickly either. He's not going to get a ton of damage done to the turret here, but the fact that he was able to sit in this lane and get a free back now while T1 also aren't starting this Herald up is pretty nice for Gen G. TP committed now. He is going to come over.
Yep, double teleports actually coming through here. Good Nabbar for Doran as well as he makes his way in. As Faker going to be pushed away there, Shape Splitter from Chovy to make sure that there's no one coming up to try and stop him. As they dive on top of Peanut, he is able to buffer the leap to try and get out of the way. And now the Mega Gnar going to come forward. Faker just waiting in the wings. Gumayusi. Okay, there's the engage. Doran presses his R button, but now going to have to back away because Oner is going to be in here. Pop Blossom to come down. Oner taking a lot of damage. Faker's already dealt with the Nami though, and Zeus will destroy the Lucian. Faker standing pretty far forward, but Chovy not going to be able to find much more than a snare onto a Tibbers, and T1 come alive.
T1 come alive, and Zeus again with the play, getting onto the back line, taking the Nami out with Faker, and then crushing Pays as well. No AD carry in the fight. Doesn't matter how much damage Chovy does with his engage and how squishy T1 is. If your Lucian isn't involved, if he can't actually get those last hits on the champions, it doesn't matter how much damage that Chovy set up in the beginning of the fight. So once again, Zeus the true hero, the true MVP for T1 so far in this game. As it starts off pretty well here, Doran's got his Narbar set like you mentioned. A lot of damage, a lot of peel here. Pays pushing Guma out of the fight. He's a low-range AD carry. But when this gets split here, it's all about the Zeus re-engage. And look at Jax as well. Oner blocks them from actually coming over to help out. So 1v3, it's set up by Oner and Zeus on the other side.
Not to mention Faker starting it all with the Tibbers, actually finding a really good one this time around. And some of them had been a little bit iffy, but that was the one you need, and could be game-changing here in this one. Still, no real gold differences or anything like that for us to worry about.
I mean, this game is so even in so many respects. Like, the fact that Faker had that great engage doesn't change the fact that he's still significantly down in CS, still behind in gold. You know, it's Kha'Zix, so obviously he's out farming a Jax here, who's been a little bit more supportive in this game. And, you know, the gold lead for Gen G is so tiny here. Oh, we're like talking like less than 200.
It barely even exists. Is Oner gonna have to get out of there? Zeus waiting alongside. Is that a singularity inside that skin? Never really noticed it.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
You're the skin guy, and if you don't know, then I don't know.
Yeah, well. Chovy, that's not the real one.
Chovy's the real Faker in this game, I guess. They are starting the Drake, and I mean, you could trade this for half a turret if you're Gen G. You'd be very happy. This is sole point for Cloud, and I mean, Peanut is a Kha'Zix, so he's only done a third of the health bar. Now T1 have cut Gen G off on the rotation in.
Well, they're just going to say thank you very much for the leash, I guess. They look to get this one started. Faker with his stun ready. That is going to be Cloud going to T1. Gen G wanting to get them on the rotation as Chovy Pop Blossom. He's going to find them all, and there goes lose the jungler and Gumayusi. Can't cash in another one. Oh, it's a disaster, and Genji are now going to be able to find this turret. That's why we see them Nico bans all the time.
I mean, I didn't even see that he was over there. I was just focusing on T1's retreat. I wasn't looking at the minimap. I didn't realize he had that flank angle. I was thinking to myself, well, you know, there's not much Genji could do here. If Chovy doesn't have flash, they can't actually engage on T1 for the punish, but he's actually unseen there. We'll see exactly how it happened in the replay, but he sets up a huge ultimate there. Tons of gold in the pockets of Genji now. They do end up losing half their turret and the Drake. But Chovy faking him out here. He's like, I'm in a good spot to engage this. Let's go, go, go. Goes in right past the Malphite and Holtz there. Just on the long con flank. They did not see it coming.
Oh, Chovy.
Oh,
Chovy. Didn't need to translate that one. And that's the look of a man very happy to have Chovy in his mid lane right there. As Pays also has been the benefactor of a few of these moments as well. 3-2 and 2 now on this Lucian, and he is going to be big as this game continues. Gumayusi does have 2 items complete, and at least did, before his second death, was able to actually get a little bit of a cash in, so has a little bit of extra gold, but it's not really some of the Dravens that we've been used to seeing that have been taking over games entirely. Much like our first series.
But it's also, you know, a Lucian, right, who went Gale Force, and there's no sustained mid damage here. This game is really just all about burst and who gets the first, like whoever fires first.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Cowboys pull and draw. Like whoever actually engages
solo
first.
lane presses R button the goodest.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I assume it's going to come down to.
You can pretty much just see the tumbleweed rolling across the rift right now with how this one is going to go, because it's just about who pulls the trigger first, who sets up that engage better. Is it the Malphite? Is it going to be the Nico? Is it going to be the Annie? And then the follow-up damage on these glass cannon 80 carries that are low range. They have a lot of follow-up burst in both the Draven ultimate, obviously, and the Gale Force all in with the culling from Pays. And it's just, I thought it was going to be a higher kill game, honestly, than it already has been. 13 kills at 20 minutes. But it's really just about, like, not sustained damage. The opposite of this meta. Normally, for most teams, it's about, okay, scaling 80 carry, front to back, tank top lane. In this game, nope, just burst them down. Win the fight in less than 2 seconds. That's what you got to do.
The press the R buttons and then everything's going to be fine style of game. And if you do have initiation advantage, we've seen how it can work for both teams, right? Around the Herald, Faker manages to find the key tibbers. And then you get the follow-up from everyone and it looks ridiculous. And it's fantastic. But then you see what happens if Chovy gets someone in a Pop Blossom. And that's another thing that can be devastating. So we'll just have to see which one is going to reign supreme. You know the follow-up is going to be there.
He can also now eat a stun because he has this Banshee's Veil. Guma should be fine here.
His stand aside has been pretty good at the spacing. Got to check the spacing. And look, it's actually not too bad, except the melee minions catching up.
Okay, that's a fake minion. Let's see if Chovy actually capitalizes. The answer is yes!
Oh, he looks for it, and it just does not work at all. Sometimes you got to work on that spacing as he's just going to get obliterated.
Wow.
Yeah.
I say he capitalized on it. I'm like, the answer is yes, but the real answer was he tried.
Yeah. And this is actually a test that we saw passed extraordinarily well. In Challenger, sometimes you got to make sure that you get that
I mean, that's a T1 Baron at 21 minutes.
Yeah. We'll see whether Peanut can get in here because it will be a flip. As there it is, the Unstoppable Force, they just go right on top of the Gnar, and he is well and truly dead. They're going surfing as well, and I think T1 are kind of happy about it as Keria takes a lot of damage. And look, Oner isn't very tanky at this point in time, and so tanking the Baron isn't exactly the easiest thing. So no Barons, however, they do manage to get Chovy for free, and then a follow-up Doran.
Yeah, follow-up Doran. Doran's trying his best to try to close that gap there and trap them in the pit, but they engage on him, and Zeus has had a phenomenal game, frankly, on this... not Maokai, on this
Rock Don't Die
Malphite, yes. I'm like, which M champion is he playing? Malphite.
It's an R champion.
Oh, thank you. R for Rock and R for Old Button, which is the gameplay button for what he's done this game.
It's the only button he needs, and also the only letter you need to think about. It's perfect.
He's not really pressing the other ones, he's just pressing R.
You sometimes press E afterwards when you land.
He's not really pressing F this game either. I mean, he has just set up so many of these engages, and Chovy, he messed up the spacing, unfortunately, there for the engage and really tried to hard force, and he pays for it in a big way. Now, T1 trying to set up to contest this Drake. Gen.G have Prio.
Oh, this control ward. Faker. They're just going to dive on him once again. The flash does come out this time for Doran, so he should be kept alive as Peanut gets himself out of there. Chovy, that is the wrong one. And maybe that last death, the attempt was like, it's lull him into a false sense of security. I am just going to walk at you and die. I don't know. That sounds a little bit like Copium because it was a little bit of a rough scenario there.
I mean, that's one of the engage tools gone, and Chovy does not commit into this engage this time. He does have flash available. I thought perhaps he was going to look for that there, but decides not. They have so much burst with his Kha'Zix. Faker does not have Tibbers anymore, but does have his stun prepped, so Peanut can't go in on him.
Yeah, and the more, okay. Cullen going to come down, out comes Zeus! Oh my goodness, the Pop Blossom's massive into the back line, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough. He's flashing, he's getting the heck out of there, and Gumayusi is saying, no, you don't! The Gnar comes through though, and Gumayusi might be going down. There we go, boulder to the face, and that will do it. And Peanut in the back line.
That bubble!
Is going to take down his opposite number. There it is, and the ebb and flow will do it! Doran's now massive, and Gen.G have somehow, in the end, won this fight. This is what, Wolf,
Okay.
hello?
Well, Delight.
Is that Baron?
Delight is a sniper. Supportal combat, shoutouts to Doa on this one.
Yeah.
Gets the kill there in the end. And they have enough sustain, I think, with this Nami here to actually just go ahead and try to take this Baron. No enemy jungler for 5 seconds here. Zeus, I mean, alone without ultimate, he can't do anything. He'd just be walking over to die. I like that he's attempting to get this turret here. Looks like might just barely be successful, in fact, at doing so, so they're going to get something out of this. But T1 narrowly lose the fight. And even though Chovy's engage didn't have great follow-up right away, it was enough additional damage. And we're going to go all the way back to this moment here for Faker. Calling for the Nico.
Yeah.
And he knew. And everybody parts like the Red Sea. Faker decides to catch him here. But this is the more important moment right now where there's not a lot of follow-up for Chovy. Culling is just tossed out here, and Chovy gets into the back line, but everyone's zoned away, and the AD carry is instantly deleted. Paze can't do anything. But the real AD carry is Doran, and he catches Guma.
Oh man, we're going to start off this Drake now as all the way back into it. And keep your eyes on Zeus. See what this engage is going to look like. Once again, Pop Blossom comes down. T1 secures the Drake, but Gumayusi, he's just dead. Another unstoppable force, but this time, Paze will stay alive, and the rock will fall. Gen.G, what? I don't know, man. What an incredible game so
I mean,
far.
a game like this is always going to have so much volatility. You never really know who's going to win a team fight until it happens because it is all burst, it is all engage, and if you don't win that exchange, if you don't burst them down instantly, their counter engage is going to get you. I mean, it's a binary game of League of Legends with both of these compositions. Gen.G, they didn't shoot first this time around, but the shooting second was good enough.
Was it Greedo? Was he the one?
Greedo wins sometimes in an alternate reality where they're Gen.G, I guess.
I guess so. Well, now they're going to come out of the base. It is an exposed Nexus as Oner is trying desperately to save it. Doran has one thing on his mind, and it's the 50 gold inside that crystal. And he